computerized system. Okay, the reason is such a system by no means can perform the process planning tasks, so it does not have intelligence at all. So it only helps reduce the clerical work required process planning. So I put it here is because we need to recognize its contribution in the early days, although something looks, nothing intelligent, but it does help a lot in terms of productivity gains. So that's also very important. So that would be the first approach, I feel. More recently, the work development in CPP actually focus on eliminating, trying to eliminate the process planner, human process planner, from the entire planning function. So that eventually will be the ultimate objective. Okay, we try to eventually, we don't need a human process planner. We can do this job by computer, just like what a human process planner does. Okay, there are actually two approaches people try to develop such a system. One is called the variant, and the other is called the generative. These two approaches. Okay, by the word variant, the variant actually related actually to similarities, right? Similar things. So the variant approach uses a library retrieval procedure to find standard planes for similar components. And the standard planes are created manually by process planners, one family, one standard plane. Well, this follows actually the group technology approach. And just like what a design part family is, here we have a manufacturing family. All right. Suppose we build such a system, which means we already identify part families. And the part families, under each family, the parts share similar process plan. Okay. And now when we have a new job, a new part to fabricate, first task is we check this new part and find which existing part family that this new part belongs to. If such a family can be found, then for this, each family would have a master process plan or a standard process plan. You can retrieve that. Okay. And you've got a plan roughly meet the requirement for the part at hand. I said roughly meet, which means not 100%. Then just like what we did when we used the group technology for design purpose, here a process planner still need to do a bit of modification, adjustment, final touch. So to make the new plane, and now the new plane 100% meet the requirement of the new component. Okay. So this is the so-called variant approach and the idea. Okay. And the second approach, okay, is more like in a way is ideal in a way. The generative approach. And in this approach, the system does not care about whether the new part is similar to whatever produced before. So we simply treated every part, incoming part, as a new component, new part. And by making use of the intelligence, so-called intelligence or decision-making logic in the system, and the system can perform just like human beings. Okay, to produce process plan for any incoming job. So this one is more like people tried a lot of different methodologies, even like artificial intelligence, whatever. They try to create this kind of system. So eventually, this is the ultimate. This is certainly something we actually wish to have. Okay, the generative. But today, let's take a look at the variant. The variant is under certain circumstances also quite, in a way, quite effective. Okay. Okay. So the concept, this is a summary, as I mentioned. Variance process planning uses similarity among components to retrieve existing process plans. So the precondition is you do have a production history again. Exactly, this is another branch. I actually left out when we talk about the application of GT. So this is another major application of GT. Process plan that can be used by a family of components is called the standard plan. After part family identification, we know that parts belonging, for example, by PFA methods. So parts belonging to the same family share similar set of OP codes. So we can consider they actually share a similar process plans. Similar process plans. And then what we do, we don't stop here. Okay, we know that one of the applications is to change machine layout, right? So, but the other application we could have is now for each part family, based on the process plans of individual parts, its members, we can create a so-called a master plan, or standard plan, we call it. And this, the nature of this plan is it actually meets the requirement for all its members. All right, that's why we call it a master plan, but may be redundant to any individual part. Okay, not necessarily meet fit 100%. But it's more than the members' needs. We call this as a standard plan. All right. So for each member, if we retrieve a standard plan, then what we need is you may need to reduce some kind of redundancy and make some final adjustments. So this is the idea of this so-called standard plan. And for the standard plan, there is no limitation to the details. But it must contain at least a sequence of fabrication steps or operations. So that is the contents for the standard plan. And now, this step is when we use such a system for dealing with the incoming job or new component. All right. The first task is we need to conduct family identification. We need to match the new component to the existing family. All right, we need to eventually find the family the new part belongs to. And then what? The next step is quite easy. You retrieve the standard plan, and then based on the actual requirement of the new component, then certain degree of modification is usually necessary in order to use the plan for the new component. But this job will be done most likely by human beings, not by the system itself. So for the whole process, if we want to find at which stage there's no so-called automation, lack of automation, which is at the final part. Okay, make an adjustment. Okay. So this is roughly the concept. Now, in actual application, let's take a look at the construction stage, how to develop such a system, and how to use such a system. So normally we call these two as two so-called operation stages. The first stage is actually refers to the construction stage. We call it the preparatory stage. In this stage, a variant process planning system is developed. So this is the development stage. We need to look at the details. And the second stage is when the system is ready and the variant system is used to generate plans for a given component. So how to use it. The first one is how to develop it. The second one, production stage, is basically how to use it. Okay. The description of this, the description of these two stages in wordings all summarized here. Let's focus on this diagram. I'll explain the whole process. This is the preparatory stage, the development stage, how such a system is developed. And at the very beginning, as I mentioned, if you encounter a task to develop such a system, the company must have, as I mentioned, must have production history, which means you need to dig out the production history in terms of the produced parts, design, and plus their process plans. So in this diagram, this portion and this portion refers to these two sets of information in the production history. For every single part produced, it has two sets of information. One is the drawing, design, and secondly, the process plan. It's a process plan also available there. Okay. And the next one is, and you actually need to code, so-called establish a coding system to code every part. Okay, and this coding system is just like the one actually described in the topic for group technology. And next one is we need to so-called form part families. For each part family, they share so-called similar processing steps. Okay. This is like applying the PFA method here. Again, you need to define OP code, right? Okay. You convert the process plans of the parts into PFA metrics. And then you use any one of those numerical methods to identify eventually the part families. And each family parts requiring similar sets of OP code. So let's say we got, a number of part families. And those parts here, they're being split into those newly formed part families. So that will be a major step. Takes quite a bit of time. Okay. And after that, for each part family, then we need to form a so-called master plan or standard plan. And this plan actually you can create it by using the members' process plans. As I mentioned, a standard plan may first of all, meet the requirement of all its members. All right. So it may not fit in 100% to any individual members, but definitely it should be more than they're required. Okay. So this part is done. Creating standard plan is done by human beings, by the developer. And the last stage, before we reach here, the last stage is for each part family. Now we have part family, we have their members, we have standard plans. But we do not stop here. We would generate a family name to each part family. And this name is not simply a name, just as a name tag. Eventually, the functionality of this name it will be used for family matching for any new part. So this part is you will see that it looks like a matrix. We call it family, so-called. I think it's eventually called the name family matrix, but let's leave it for a moment. So let's just treat it like. For each formed part family, we need a name. And this name will be used for family matching eventually for any new component. Okay. All right. Once this stage is done, and then we've got a database system. The system eventually is a database system. And in this database system, we have different part families. For each part family, we have a standard plane, and also we have its name tag. Name tag is called a family matrix. Okay. By up to this stage, the system is called ready. So what we eventually have, we only have this. Okay, is a database system. And that is actually the actual form of a varied process planning system. Okay. And the description of all this for this stage all here. Okay. This is just a summary. Now we come to the production stage. Okay. In between these two diagrams, this diagram, a preparatory stage and production stage. This is the part they share. Okay. This part moved to the production stage. This is the part we shared. Okay. And this is the database system. Inside the system, we got part families. Each part family has a standard plane and also indexed by its name tag. It's called a family matrix. So we got this. Now, what we face here in this production stage, we have a new part. We need to generate a process plan for it. Okay. So this is a new part, new job. It comes in without any plan, but it comes in with a drawing, design attributes. So the first step is remember that in this stage, we have this coding process, right? We do have a coding system. We will make use of the same coding system to code this part. So we got a code. Okay, we got a code. And next one is we make use this code, creative code, generated code to do a family search, family matching. And to match this with the families inside this. For example, we have 5 families there, 5 part families there, and each with a name. So we will need to match the name to the code in that kind of form, conceptually. And ideal situation is one family is identified, is matched. Okay? And then what we do, we simply retrieve this standard plan from the corresponding part family in this form. This stage, of course, is automatically retrievable. Okay? But the final part, we still need this portion is still required, which means the standard plan most likely will definitely meet the requirement of the new component, but most likely will be a bit redundant as well. And also, the sequence of the processing steps in the standard plan may not meet 100% of the new part. So the last stage is the process plan that need to do some adjustment, which we call it editing process. Okay. So this is the production stage, and the steps are summarized all here. Okay. Okay. So eventually, all right. It's not okay. We're not 100% done. So eventually, for the production stage, as I mentioned, ideally we will find a family. The family matching or family search will be successful, and then we identify a part family, retrieve the standard plan. But what if we can't? What if this family search fails? It's possible, right? If the new component is quite odd, it's nothing similar to any of those existing ones. So what will happen? Okay. Well, in that kind of situation, there's nothing you can retrieve, right? There's nothing you can retrieve. So what you need to do is, again, just like what we did in the application of GT for design purpose, then we have to start to create a new plane for the new part. This whole process becomes manual, but with such a system, we will not stop here. What we do is, after we finish the whole process, generate the process plane, we do not stop there. We try to update this system by add another part family there. So at least the new part family has a new member, one member, and with its process plane as a standard plane. Okay. So in that way, the system can be, expandable as well. Can be updated in a way, upgraded all the time. So the capability also becomes probably more and more powerful. Okay. So that is the whole idea. Okay. Now what we do is we go through a simple example, developing to demonstrate the two stages for a variant process planning system. In this example, the system is called the VPP system. And the example itself does not give every bit of detail in the development, but all the major steps. The important part is how to create this name tag for each component. Eventually will be used for a family search purpose. So this example, first part is, this is the coding system selected in the preparatory stage, right? You need to use a coding system to code all the existing parts. Those parts produced already. So this system has 4 digits, this coding system, 4 digits, and the value is octal from 0 to 7. So that is the coding structure. 4 digits, value vary from 0 to 7. And basically these are all related to, it somehow is a bit similar to the pattern to the OP system. But let's not pay too much attention to the detail of the coding system. We emphasize on the procedure itself. Okay. The second step, okay, let's take a look. The second step, I need to explain here is to make it easy to follow is the second step, which means the parts, let's see which stage already. Okay, the step skipped in this example is all the parts are coded with their process planes, and the PFA procedure already done. Okay, PFA procedure, which means we identify part families, and for each part family we have all the members. All right, and each member would have a so-called process plane, okay, and also the standard process plane already created. So in this page, which means we come to a stage that part family already is established, and we have the parts for one part family. Okay, one part family here. 6 parts. These are the actual real names of the part number. Okay, we will not use this to use this as the so-called name tag or whatever. Instead, this column shows the code. Comes from this coding system. Okay, for the 6 parts. So each has a code 2010, 2110, 2110, 2021, 301110. Okay. Now what we need to to create this so-called family name. And this family name will be eventually used for family search. Okay. And the form of this family name, because eventually for any new part, they will have a code, 4-digit code. Okay, how to do this matching? So what we do is we use this to form a so-called part family, a matrix. Okay, and we will find those positive entries here in this matrix. We'll fill up by using its members' code. All right. Afterwards, for a new part with this code, and then we match this new code to the existence of the entries in the family matrix. If we can find a new part is code, 4 digits, 100% covered, then we set this part will belong to this. The new part belongs to this part family. So how to create this in this case? The first part is, let me go through it. This is the result already. See it? Okay, first of all, for this family matrix, first part is about its dimension. Okay, its dimension is 4 digits, right? Value from 0 to 7, so 8 different values. So the dimension is 4 columns. The number of columns equal to the number of digits. And the number of rows equals to the number of different values. So the dimension of this, for this part family is 8 rows, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so that is the matrix structure. So the number of columns always equals the number of digits, and values equals to number of different values equals to the number of rows. And what we have now, the second part, we need to fill up this family matrix. So the matrix, because the matrix eventually will cover all the codes of its members. So what we do is 2010. So this is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you got column 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the first digit is 2010, so it's 2010. So you fill up this. And then 2110, 2110 already there. And 2120, 2120. And 2130, 2130. And finally it's 1110, so it's 1110. So that's what we got. And we can do a validation of this for first one, 2010, we find 2010. So eventually the family search will be done in a similar fashion. In this fashion. So in this example we have in this example we have only 6 members. You have a lot more than you need to fill up all this. Okay. So eventually this will be the family matrix. When you read this, you forget about the first column. This is just to show the values for each digit, and you forget the first column, the first row there. So this is the matrix. Dimension is 8 by 4. Okay, 8 by 4. Okay, so this is how we form this. And so this one is called family matrix. Is also identifying for the family. Okay, the family. Okay. All right. So which means in this process, this is done. Okay. So finally, we will form this. I show you the structure of this. Eventually, this database system is like this. Okay. So in this, if I put a cover on this, this is the database system. If I put a cover on this, okay. Actually, for each part family, there will be 3 levels of information. The first one on the top is this is family matrix. There will be a family matrix there, as its name. And underneath that, it will be the standard plane, which is the OP code in sequence. Okay, OP code in sequence. Okay, that's the second part, standard plane. And what about this? Okay, when we define the OP codes, we know that OP code, a single OP code represents a list of processes can be carried out by a particular machine. Okay, a clarification here, I now remember. When I use the word machine tool, which means it's a machine, it's just a different name. Yeah. Because that caused a bit of confusion to some of our students. They feel like it's a cutter or tool. No. Machine tool is a machine. Okay, cutter, which means a tool. Tool is a machine. Okay, sorry, tool is a cutter. But when I use machine tool, then it's called. It's actually a machine. Okay. So when we defined every OP code actually is defined with a list by its OP plane, which is the list of processes can be carried out by the processor. So the bottom level we have for each OP code there is a plane there, okay, as a plane, which the application of this is eventually you have OP code sequence, but eventually once a plane is retrieved, it will be expanded into processes, okay, by using this. So this is the bottom. And this bottom level actually is shared by different part families, right? Okay. So eventually, at the bottom, we will use this. We would have quite a few different of this, right? This is only for one part family. We could have several part families. Okay. So 3 levels, and a more detailed for our example is like this. You can read this like this. In this illustration example, this 2 part families. This is 1. This is family 1. This when you read them, this is 1. This is family 2. Forget about this portion. Forget about this portion. Okay, so for family 1, family 2, we have 2 family matrices, right? Okay, and then family matrix for family 1, matrix for family 2. And what about the standard plane? The standard plane for family 1, you can see this is for family 1. So these OP codes were used for family 1. And the standard plane for family 2 is this. And the OP plane is ignored here. The OP planes are not shown here. Okay, it should be underneath that. So every OP code corresponds a list of processes. Okay, so this is the structure. Okay, by this stage, up to this stage, then the system is so-called ready to be used. Okay, Preparatory stage done. Now we come to the production stage. Production stage to use the system, initially we got a part like this. This is a prismatic part, very simple, with a slot there and 2 holes on the top. Okay, it's very simple. So the first thing is we need to, for this particular part, we need to do this. Okay, we need to conduct a coding process by using the same coding system we employed during the preparatory stage. And the result here, 6514. Okay, this is unlike our so-called. This is unlike our OP system. The OP system we have introduced. So it's not a rotational part. It's a non-rotational here. It's 6-5. It's long part. Non-rotational. Actually, is a prismatic. 6514. So rectangular cross section, 1 and 4. But anyway, the details, as I mentioned, we don't have to pay much attention to the detail. So eventually we will go in code. And now, so this is in this diagram. This is come to this stage. So we got the code already. Come to this stage. And next step is to conduct a family search. We have 2 families. We have 2 families, and the identifier for each family's matrix is there. So 6514, we will check the matrix to see which part family it belongs to. And the first one, even the first digit doesn't match. There's no 6 there, right? So what we have is then the match to part family 1 fails, and then we go to family 2. So the first is 6. 6. Okay, we have 1 here. 5. We'll have 1 here, and 1 is this value. The values start from 0 to 7. So 6, 5, 1, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4. 6, so 6, 5, 1, 4. Each digit, the value can be found in this matrix, in this part family matrix. So we conclude that this new part belongs to family 2, and then we retrieve its standard plane. It's stored here in OP code. So we come to so these are the standard plane. Okay. So once we find that, then the next step is not shown here, but we should expand this by using its OP plane for each OP code. So the process plane will include a quite long list of processes. Okay, and it will definitely meet this requirement. More than that, most likely it will be kind of a redundancy there. And the last step, you need to do this. You need to, as a human planner, you need to adjust it. You need to modify this. So this is how actually the whole system works. Okay, and one key part here is, okay, you know this forming the part families sharing a similar OP code. We know that we go for this so-called PFE process, PFE method, right? But when we conduct this family search, we actually have to use its design attributes. Okay, so when we select the design, so-called the coding system, we have to make sure that the parts sharing these kind of design attributes, so-called belong to a part family, definitely correspond to similar kind of processes. So that is not a simple task. It's not like any coding system you can use. Okay. So in this way, the design attributes actually, it looks like it need to corresponds to the manufacturing steps quite well, in a sense. Okay. But anyway, in actual development, there would be more challenges. Okay, but roughly this would be the procedure. Okay. Okay. So when we look at these two stages, certainly the development stage takes a bit of time, but once it's done, the usage of such a system will be quite efficient. Okay, will be quite efficient because family search, retrieval, standard playing can be done quite efficiently. All right, and when used actually effectively, such approach can also be quite useful, increase productivity. But at the same time, we also have so-called problems. Okay, and from these two stages, we already seen some of those signs of the weakness already. First thing is the first part is actually not only related to GT's application in process planning, also in other parts, which means if the part spectrum is large. The number of part family can be large but with little efficiency, meaning that if the production history show a very large diversity, a very little similarity, then it's not worth trying this kind of approach. Certainly, okay. So that is this. The first point is true for all kinds of applications for GT, not only to process planning. Implementation is time consuming. The construction process takes quite a bit of time. And number three is the quality of the process plan for new parts depends on the quality of the existing plans. Why is that? Remember when we create the standard plan for each part family, the standard plan actually based on the existing plans. So the quality of the existing plans actually are inherited by the standard plan. So if the quality of the existing plan is good, then the standard plan should be good as well. Otherwise, and you would have inherit the problems with the existing plan. So the quality, but none of these above 3 points are so-called critical. The critical point is this. Okay. Human planners' invention is inevitable. The last stage. And this stage. This editing work may not as heavy as creating a new plan, certainly. Okay, so the productivity of the process planner can increase, but the knowledge required to conduct this will be the same as the knowledge to create a new plan. Correct? Requirements. Which means you still, with such system, you still can't do without a process planning. Okay, so the words eliminating cannot be achieved. Okay, you can depend less in a way, usage, okay, of the process plan, but you can't do without. So this is the critical point for the variant system. You can argue that it will certainly have a certain so-called intelligence, okay, knowledgeable, but again that you can't do without. So this is the main problem, and this is the reason why eventually we go for so-called generative approach. Okay, we got a couple of minutes, so we conduct quickly some of the exercises, and then we conclude today's lecture. Regarding variant system, the first question is, the first two are actually true or false. When a new part design is input in the variance process planning system, a standard process plan will be generated that may require certain modification. The first one, true or false? True. Okay. Any different opinion? Okay. This one actually sounds true. Okay. If you look at the diagram, it sounds true. But then I did mention if you have two scenarios, right? Most likely we will for the new part, we will identify a part family it belongs to. Then we will see this situation, this happen. But there is another scenario. Okay, if the new part is so new, all right, you couldn't match it to an existing part family, then you wouldn't be able to retrieve any standard plane. So it's false. That would be, okay, exception, but it happens. Second one, in the variant system, planning system, the OP plans of the OP codes used are stored in the database. True or false? Okay, true. So the OP plans all stored in the same database as well. Okay, number 3. We identify these parts belong to the same part family in a variant system. The value is 0 to 3. The 6 parts are listed here. And okay, obtain the family matrix, that's one method. I show you already. Just have a quick look whether this part, 3013, this is new part, whether this part belongs to this one or not. 3103. You don't have to form the matrix. You can check by its members code to see whether a new part belongs to it. You just match each digit, see whether it's existing in those members, okay, members codes. First one is 3. You find that 3 is here. 0, long zeros. 0, 1, 3, 1, 3. So 3013. With or without the matrix, you know that this 0, 1, 3 actually belong to this. Again, true or false? Okay. When a new part design is input into a variant planning system, it's possible that the system does not generate any standard plane. True or false? True, certainly true. And second one, in the variant system, every OP code corresponds to an OP plane. True or false? True. These are simple facts. Okay. And the last two, in the development of variant system, the standard plan for a particular part family must cover the process plans of its members. True or false? True. It may not fit 100% into any member. All right, but it definitely will meet. And most likely, will be more than that. Okay, so it's true. And the final one. Oh, that's also regarding family metrics. The family has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 codes, 6 parts as its member, and the first 5, all the codes are given. The last one is X, Y, Y, Z. So you have 1, 2, 3 variables here, and so Okay, a new part with a code of 3201 belongs to this family. It asks you to obtain the part family matrix. Okay, so in order to do that, you need to find the value of x, y, and z. And then you can form a part family. So the clue is 3201 belong to this. Remember, 3201 is not an original member of this, but it belongs to this. So we use this clue to find this. And this question is actually, in a way, quite apparent. If 3201 belongs to it, and then the first one, this one must be 3. This one must be, there's no 2 here, so y must be 2. And the last one must be 1, right? So that's quite straightforward. In the recent years, there are quite a few tricky cases. Later, when we conduct some tutorials, I will show you, okay? More tricky than this. But anyway, this is the way the part family matrix is formed. Okay, is formed in a way. Okay, so we will stop here, and next Thursday we'll talk about generative process planning.
It's a new member.
Okay, that's all. Yeah, thank you.
No, so kita kena figure out what's x, y, and z. That's why I didn't give you. This is your lady child.